Hello YouTube. So as I was saying before, I want to talk about the items. Items in this game are very powerful, especially when it comes to, well, let's go through all the items first, shall we? So you get Chaplet, Rattan, Holy Water, String Trap, Sigil, Health Potion, and Energy Drink. Aside from the Holy Water and String Trap, all the items have very good but they all have a purpose essentially. Even Holy Water is actually not that bad. It's really good against cancelling attacks on specters from range, and also it prevents prisoner from being able to use it any sort of attack. Prevents phasing, so even Holy Water actually has use. String Trap on the other hand is the most useless item in the game, especially in the beginning of the game, but I will go through that in a bit. So why do they exist? The thing I want to talk about was the item spawn rate. So this is something that you have to go into the game blueprint and dig it out from the data itself. There's no actual official word on these things. So this is the default layout. You got 4 different set of items called General, Melee, Trap, and Range. There's only one range weapon at the moment, which is, as you guessed, Holy Water. Melee is both Chaplets and Rattans. Trap is Sigil and Holy String Traps. And General includes Stamina Drink and Syringes. So they have 20%, 28%, 32%, 20% on these, each of the categories here. Now, when I said that this is default, that's what it looks like. The actual spawn rate is different depending on the game that you get. So here, it's just an example. So Melee Chaplet here has a 57% of chance spawning with an item limit of 2, whereas Melee Rattan here, Melee with the stick, has 43% of chance of spawning with a 5 item limit. And these are within this 28%. So if you really do the math here, so roughly 43% out of 28% is chance of Rattan spawning. However, it doesn't work like that all the time, because once the chaplets have spawned, all two of them are on the map, then it's 100% chance of Rattan spawning at that point. So that's how item spawning mechanism works. This is something that I've already talked about in the item spawn manipulation video. So Holy Water, you're getting your 5, the Trap you got 63% weight, and blah blah blah. Now these things change. If I go down to this area, Survivor HP 0, Ritual State 0. Survivor HP 0 status goes all the way to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So HP 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where things are not exactly clear. It's reckoned that HP 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 just means number of people that are injured. So 0 means no one's injured, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 4. So either injured or dead. Now, if we look into the file, so let's go to server H1. Let's look at between server H1 and server H0. So when no one's injured, with no rituals being done, no one injured, with no rituals done, you can see that spawn rate is slightly different from the default one. The default one didn't say this, but now it says Melee is 28 as same, Range is 20, Trap is 36, and General item is 16%. Default was Melee was 28, Range was 20, but Trap was 32 and General was 20. So Trap and General is slightly different. You get more Traps and more General items when no one's injured and no rituals done. Okay, right. Not only that, the actual weighting of the item is different. So again, we're looking at the melee weapons here. Chaplet has chance of 28.57% compared to Melee Rattan weapon here, which is 71.43. So we are more likely to get Rattans than the Chaplet when there's no ritual being done. Interesting, isn't it? It's because Chaplet is actually completely useless in the beginning of the game, so you don't get any, but you'll end up with more Rattans. Now what is more interesting here is the general item setting. So general item was higher. So let's look at the general items. So general items that consist of syringes and stamina drink. So with the syringes having 25% chance of appearing, with water that's stamina drink by the way, have 75% chance of appearing. Syringe has 1 item limit at this point because no one's injured, and stamina drink has item limit of 3. You're more likely to get more drinks, essentially. So what's wrong with that? Well, there's nothing wrong with this here per se, but when more survivors are injured, that's where the problem appears. So survivor 84, rituals 0. The same, 0 rituals, but 4 survivors are injured. So what happens? Melee, 28. But ranged item, so holy water, have dropped down to 12%. So you're not likely to get any holy water, which by the way is completely useless when no rituals are done and everyone's injured. So that drops massively. On the other hand, trap is 32%, and general has got all the way up to 28%. And let's look at the details of this one. Okay, so you got 28% chance of getting a syringe or a stamina drink. Okay, and all 4 people are injured, but then you can see syringe has 57.14 chance of spawning with 4 item limit suddenly, whereas stamina drink has gone down to 42.86 and 3 item limit still. So item limit has gone from 1 to 4, and the chance of spawning has gone up as well to 57% from 25% before. So let's just round this up. So point collector, person who's made a looting table here. Okay, loot chances you can actually see a lot better this way. 4 people, so, and you can see changes are massively impacting here. So total number of items still stays the same, but item weight type and item weight here, the percentage of it spawning is very different. So let's look at this because this makes it easier. I will link this in the description below so people can use a bit better. So as you can see, number of survivors below HP. 1, not really changing anything. 2, 3, 4. You can see general going up and range going down to make up for that one. And of course, health potion probability is going up as that happens. 25, 40, 50, then 57. Put this into perspective. What does this all mean on the item side? So put it this way. You have trap wise, you got string trap and sigil. And what was I saying about the string traps before? They're useless. Nobody really will ever activate that. Nobody. So with the string trap having a very, very high percentage of coming out at 57.14 in most case scenario, if you don't do them, the item cap will be reached. Okay? If you do them, obviously you're not gonna reach the item cap because somebody's doing them. Don't do it. It's absolutely no point doing it. That leaves sigil to come out at 36%. That's more than a third of all the chests will contain a sigil that way. Not only that, even at no rituals done, trap and general combined is 52%. That means as long as you got rid of all the traps, which is 50-50 to start off with basically, essentially anyway, because of the whole weight limit. But as long as you got rid of traps, 50%, so half the chests that you do will always contain either sigil, health potion, or energy drink. All 3 items that are very, very useful in the beginning of the game. And as you get injured, the range item drops. So getting rid of 12% means 88% of items you will get will be useful. 88% of items you get will be useful. That's ridiculous. Okay, let's get rid of chaplet from the equation too. Okay, because chaplet is not really useful in the early game. So 12% we get rid of holy water. Okay, string traps. Let's just say you already got all 3 out. That means 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5 items will be useful, and that's 88% chance already at this point. Chaplet 28% compared to 71% here. So it's even less likely for the chaplet to come out as well. So if you're injured, you're gonna get good items. If you're not injured, you're still going to get scissors and energy drink. And energy drink gives you that extra speed and the distance away from a spectre. Okay, fine, the survivors get all these rattans and scissors and energy drinks and whatnot. Okay, but they don't get a lot of chaplets, right? So endgame should be easier because the incoming damage should be less anyway. You'd think. This is where this comes in. Number of rituals done. So as number of ritual gets done higher, what do you notice? Chaplet has suddenly got an increase in the item cap and the weight. 2 and 3. Not only has chaplet's weight has gone up, the item type weight has also gone up. So when no one's injured, all 3 rituals done, suddenly 40% chance of getting a weapon out from a chest, and out of 40, half of them will be chaplet. So 20% chance of you getting a chaplet, 20% chance of you getting a rattan, and another 20% chance of getting holy water. What did I say before about the traps? Useless, so ignore that one. Scissor will still be available if you need to. And energy drink has gone down to 1, so they are less likely, 8% chance of spawning. But you got 60% chance here of getting a weapon. Again, because item caps exist here, if you already have these out, they're not gonna come out. It's only 8% to start off with. Trap, if you don't bother with the string traps, you'll only get sigils. And that's very easy to reach item cap wise at only 2. 30%, only 2. So out of 92% items here, 32, it's essentially a third. Third of time you'll get sigil. And after that, weapons. Now, what happens if all people are injured? Well, that's very interesting. Because you still get a very, very high percentage of getting a chaplet. In fact, you get more chaplet than rattans when all the rituals are done with the 4 people injured. And the item of health potion, that is likely to come out because 4 people are injured. You have 20% chance of getting a general item. And out of that 20, health potion will be 80%. So if you ever go to the end game with all 4 people and they were injured at one point, and suddenly you'll see that they just heal like that. That's why. And this is why I keep saying that string traps are useless, because if you do the string traps, you're lowering the item cap. You need to make sure you stay on the item cap so that this can be completely removed from the equation, so you will get all the other useful items that you need for either for ritual or for the fight. That's how the item spawn essentially works. Now, like I said, I'll leave this on the link. I'll leave a link on the description below, so people will be able to access it and look at it. You don't be able to change it, but you can download a copy or whatever as well. These will more or less likely change in the future, hopefully, because once the item cap is reached, you can use an item, and that gets replaced straight away. So there's that too. Now, one final thing I do need to discuss is the strength of items. Now, I think everybody who's played the game to a decent level will realize how strong both energy drink and sigils are. These will be constantly be used. Okay, so at 0 rituals, nobody injured, they have a very high chance of coming out. 75% of general item will be energy drink, and with 42% of trap items will be sigils. Like I said, leave the string traps, then that's basically 36% plus 75% of 16, which is 12. That's 48% chance of getting a useful item out of chests. That's immediately usable. I'm not even counting health potion here. This is, by the way, this percentage is purely based on energy drink and sigil only when you have reached the cap for string traps. 48% of immediately useful items are powerful, and a lot of the useful ones are more likely to come out at every single stage of the game. If you do see Sizzle and Energy Drink and do happen to use them, you can replace them very quickly, and I suggest that highly that you do and place them in areas that are readily available or accessible. Energy Drink is really powerful tool in this game because 1, it gives you 5 seconds of infinite stamina. 2, it gives you full stamina once it's used. Running survival speed is faster than running Spectre in a full blood seed. You can't actually catch them up. Even with the bear right now, you cannot catch them up. In fact, the gap between the survivor and the Spectre becomes larger the more you run. So Energy Drink is really powerful tool. Sizzle, it gives you invincibility for 3 seconds. Not just that, it's not only just 3 seconds of invincibility. 1, it drops down blood seed level, because blood seed level goes down by 1 every 2 seconds, by the way. 2, it also gives you 3 seconds of stamina regeneration. 3, it also gives you a distance between you and the Spectre while you put that Sizzle as well. So Sizzle is very powerful too. And String Trap is completely useless in the beginning of the game, and towards the late game again it's really used to just stop a Spectre from running away and get them to use shield. But there are better ways to do that than a String Trap. It's such a waste of time, and it's best to leave them to fair. But here it is. That's how the items work in this game in general. So here's a quick summary. If you don't understand what I was saying all the way through here, what you need to do, this is simply all you have to do. 1, don't use String Trap. 2, don't use Holy Water. Unless you're going against Prisoner, that's a different story, but essentially, you just don't want to use useless items because they'll keep coming out if you keep using them. So don't use any useless items. If you are injured at any stage of the ritual, your chance of you getting health potion rises massively. The more people are injured, higher the chance. Make sure you have enough stamina, enough HP if you are doing ritual to tank some hits. But if you don't have enough HP to tank some hits, then going and looking for chests are not the worst of the ideas. And if you do decide to do that, please make sure you let your teammates know what you're doing, because some person might be doing a full-on chase and needs a help, and no one doing a ritual because everyone's injured is not a good idea. So need to communicate very well when you do this. Well, that is it from me, and that is all the items on guide I need to do. I've been meaning to do for a while. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye bye. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I upload videos on regular basis. If you got any suggestions or anything you have in mind, please leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching.